Insulin is one of the basic human hormones. Everyone needs insulin to live. Diabetics, though, can't properly produce insulin. And that's a big question in this country. In America right now, about 6 million people are dependent on daily injections of insulin just to survive. It's a great thing that they can do that. Almost a century ago, scientists discovered how to produce synthetic insulin. The scientists who did that sold the patent to a university for $1. Their goal was to help humanity. That's why they did that. It turned out to be one of the great health advances in human history. Diabetes went from almost a certain death sentence to a manageable chronic illness, as it is today, or was. Cheaply available insulin has extended the lives of tens of millions of people. But in this country, that seems to be changing. For the last 20 years or so, the price of insulin has been rising very quickly, even relative to other healthcare costs. One top insulin drug, Novolog, rose in price 353% in just 14 years. It isn't exceptional, and the growth has shown no signs of stopping. Thanks to these price hikes, millions of diabetics have started rationing their insulin, gambling with their health, and likely shortening their lives to save money. They have no choice. A cheap medicine that your parents took for granted increasingly is inaccessible to poorer Americans. They're already the group most likely to suffer from diabetes in the first place, as you probably know. Now, there are a lot of reasons this is happening. One is that drug companies keep slightly tweaking their formulas so their drugs never leave patent and generic competitors can't enter the market to compete with them. Another reason is rigid FDA regulations, which make it costly and time-consuming to put a new insulin drug on the market. Pharmaceutical companies use legal challenges to deter competition, too. Of course, most companies do that. And, of course, greed plays a role, too. That's a word that we don't use very often, but it's still real, one of the deadly sins, for good reason. But whatever the reasons for the spike in prices of insulin, it's a huge problem. And you would think it's something that Congress and the administration would consider taking action on. There are some things they could do. Maybe they should streamline an FDA approval process or adjust patent law. Maybe they should subsidize the creation of a generic insulin brand. After all, we spend billions subsidizing solar panels and electric cars that only rich people can afford. So before you give us a lecture about the market, remind us we already do that. We're not sure what the best solution is. We're not scientists or economists, but we can say this is a real problem that Congress appears to be ignoring. In October, the president pitched a plan to lower drug prices across the board by tying Medicare reimbursement to drug prices in other countries. Republicans in Congress and on K Street hate that idea. Farmers' bottom line is important to them, and it's not an unimportant factor. On the other hand, Americans are dying from easily treated illnesses. That's a factor, too. On the left, well, they don't care at all, at least not right now. Their top priority is impeaching Trump, not collaborating with Trump on health care. And just like on tech and other issues, they're easily distracted by superficial political signaling. Sanofi, it's one of the companies now driving up insulin prices, but that company won some degree of credibility from the left last summer and is now insulated from criticism. Why? Well, because when Roseanne Barr blamed Ambien for the ill-advised tweets that got her show canceled, that company tweeted that racism is not a side effect of its medications. And the left roared with laughter. Go, Big Pharma! If only they'd roar about that company extorting poor Americans with life-saving drugs. But just like on immigration or trade or automation or global warming, it doesn't matter when America's most vulnerable are hurt. It's actual most vulnerable people. No one in D.C. and particularly no one on the left seems to care. Not their constituency.